Hello, beautiful soul. Shani here. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I am a spiritual guide, intuitive healer, breathwork facilitator, and female empowerment coach. And I work with highly sensitive women to really bring them back to the truth of who they are so they can live their life with divine purpose and authenticity. Part of living your life authentically is really being able to connect in and listen to your intuition. Not just to connect in and listen to your intuition, but to really trust it and use it to guide you and align you to the path that you should truly be living on as part of your divine purpose on this planet. We all know what intuition is. It's defined as a sense of knowing without having to rationally think about things or analyze things. It's just a pure sense of knowing that is innate in every single one of us. We have the concept of instinct, where we just know. If we sense a sense of danger coming towards us, we know just to turn around. Or if we're hungry, we instinctively reach for the food. This is part of our protective mechanism. It supports us in staying safe. And then we have that gut feeling, that gut instinct, that feeling that you feel very deeply in your solar plexus, described as kind of a butterfly in your stomach effect. This is a gut feeling that also gives you just a pure sense of knowing that something doesn't feel right, or that something is making you feel nervous or anxious, or it's telling you that the situation or the person that you're dealing with is just a little bit off and not quite in alignment. You've all experienced that feeling, I'm sure, deep down in your gut, in your solar plexus. And we know that there is a science connected to that, to the mind-gut connection. And then we have intuition, which is the process that really gives us the ability to know something directly. And we need both instinct and gut feeling and intuition to really support us in living an aligned and beautiful life, to stay in alignment with our true divine purpose, and to guide us in the right direction, just like an internal GPS. If you were driving down the road to a new destination and you were using your Google Maps or your Waze, you would trust the direction it was taking you in. You wouldn't just suddenly say, "Oh no, I don't trust the GPS, I'm going to turn that way instead." You're using it to guide you to get you to the destination in the most efficient and smooth and aligned way. Our internal intuition is the same. So why do we often mistrust it? Why do we often ignore it? So many people that I speak to and work with have a difficulty with connecting into and trusting with their intuition. Does that sound like you? For years and years, I mistrusted my intuition. I didn't think that the decisions or the choices that I were making were supporting me or encouraging me in any way. So I would see the red flags. I would feel the gut feeling. I would have my instinct, and then I would ignore it. I would suppress it. I would push it to one side and continue. And always, I would know that I'd made a mistake in not listening to my intuition. And then I'd fall into a vicious cycle of blaming myself for not listening to my intuition and feeling guilty for not listening to my intuition. How many of you have gone into that cycle? I should have listened to my intuition. I didn't listen to my intuition because I didn't trust my intuition. And now I'm berating myself for not listening to my intuition. I'm sure this sounds familiar to so many of you. We often mistrust our intuition because we have built experiences up in our life that have proven to us that we can't trust, or we've been betrayed, or people have let us down, or we have let ourselves down. Our rational mind has let ourselves down, but the one thing that never, ever lets us down, and yet we continue to mistrust it, is our intuition. So today I'm going to be talking about the top 10 things that highly intuitive people do differently to really connect in and cultivate their sense of intuition. And these top 10 things that they do can support you to cultivate and tap into and start trusting your intuition too. So tip number 1, they spend a lot of time in solitude. a lot of time on their own, just being with themselves, connecting in with themselves, taking quiet time to be with themselves and to really listen within. Tip number 2, during that time you can practice meditation or mindfulness practices. Meditations are a beautiful way to connect back into your inner voice, your inner knowing. When we stop and we enter our feminine energy of rest and we slow everything down in meditation, we can really start to tune in and listen to our inner voice. The answers are always inside of us. Tip number 3, taking time for reflection. When you take time for reflection, you can really start to dig in and see patterns of behavior or see patterns of thought or patterns of words to support you in understanding where you are missing your intuition or where you are listening to your intuition and where it supported you in your alignment purpose. To support you in reflection, we come on to tip number 4, journaling. How many of you keep a journal? How many of you write out your feelings or your thoughts? This is a beautiful way to connect into your reflective state, to support yourself by intuitively flowing writing out onto the page and giving your space to really reflect and dig into what it is that's really going on internally for you. Journaling doesn't have to be a diary that someone else is reading. It can be messy, it can be ugly, it can be disgusting, and all the thoughts and feelings that are coming up for you. But when you see those words flowing out onto the page, it really supports you in understanding how it is that you're really feeling at this time, connecting into intuition. Tip number 5 that highly intuitive people do differently is get into creative flow. Intuition is really connected with feminine energy, and you've heard me talk a lot about feminine energy and masculine energy and the integration of the two for a harmonious life. Well, feminine energy really invites creative flow. When we create and we're in a creative state, we can really allow intuition to be a channel for us to create. And when we're more connected to our intuition, the creation that we do birth is so much more beautiful, so much more channeled, so much more authentic and real and aligned. So one supports the other. So tip 5, get into your creative flow. Whatever that is that you enjoy doing creatively, drawing, painting, writing, cooking, baking, yoga flow, photography, anything, writing, anything that you enjoy that's creative, singing, music. There are so many ideas that come to mind. That's tip number 5. Tip number 6, try doing a snap judgment test. What do I mean by a snap judgment test? Ask a friend or someone that you really trust to ask you a series of questions and just go with the first intuitive answer that comes to you. It could be cats or dogs, night or day, light or dark. It can be really simple questions like this, or they can ask you more complex questions. And just with the first intuitive answer that comes to you. So you're not thinking or rationalizing or analyzing it. You're just going from a place of feeling. If you don't have a friend or someone that you trust to support you with this, you can do this as part of your journaling. You can set yourself out a series of questions and then just write the first intuitive answer that comes to you. Just see where it takes you. See where the flow moves you. It's a beautiful exercise. Tip number 7, connect in deeply with others. Having surface relationships or shallow relationships doesn't really allow you to feel your way around people. You've often heard people that are speakers to big crowds. They come onto the stage and they read the crowd. They read their audience. They feel the vibe of what's going on. And if they're that intuitive, then they're able to rearrange or reframe what it is that they want to share with their audience to suit the room, to suit the vibe of the room. When I was a teacher, I did this all the time. I might have a lesson plan planned, but when I came in the classroom and felt the vibe of the students in the room, I would change tact because I was connecting into my intuition and I was deeply connecting with their needs. And in turn, that connected with my needs and my intuition. And I was able to read the room and the atmosphere and change it to support them in their journey. So connecting deeply with others. Tip number 8, keep an intuition diary. You can just write down every day part of your reflection process. When did you listen to intuition? How did it feel to listen to your intuition? What positive emotions came up for you? What negative emotions came up for you? What beliefs or thought patterns came up for you? You can also connect in when you didn't listen to intuition and reflect on that. How did that feel for you? What positive emotions came up? What negative emotions came up? And if anyone wants access to an intuition diary, message me and I will send you over my intuition workbook. Tip number 10 that highly intuitive people do differently is to mindfully let go of negative emotions. Mindfully let go of negative emotions. Without the inner critic that starts to come in and starts talking to you and telling you why you were stupid and why you made a mistake and what you should have done and what you could have done and what you needed to do, mindfully let that go. Thank you. I hear you. I'm aware of you. I see you. I acknowledge you. And then I kindly send you on your way. In a mindful process of taking that time to be aware of the negative thoughts and emotions that are coming into your mind and connecting back to feeling instead of rationalizing and thinking. So these are the top 10 tips that highly intuitive people do differently to really support them in tapping into and trusting their intuition. If you'd like to know more, you can head over to my Facebook group, A Gathering of Hearts, where I will be doing more talks on this, and I have a masterclass workshop available on how to tap into and trust your intuition for those of you that are interested in connecting into this further. Have a beautiful day from my heart to yours.